Food. 228.
There we go. How do you like that?
Definitive answer.
Is that better? Can you see me?
Yeah, I mean, I can. It's bright. Your left side of your face. But that's okay. Get all these options. Ooh, that one's good. I can talk down to you.
Oh, let's leave it like that. No, let's leave it like that. And
So
just
good.
put your little chin down. Yeah, Bob.
Robert.
Robert.
There.
Exactly. Are you having fun?
Yeah. Half screen. See, that's the one you don't like.
I'm too bright. That's what you were saying, right? Hold on. I can maybe adjust that.
Yeah.
I'm playing with a camera.
It's like you're on the surface of the sun.
Let's see. Hold on.
You might have to invest, Robert.
I might. What?
You might have to invest in some lighting. Oh, look at that.
Is that better?
Yeah. It looks somewhat natural.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a camera. I just need to learn how to use it.
Yeah.
It's like you can adjust some of the settings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I could actually increase the size of my head too in this space, but I chose not to.
I mean, we can do that.
This works. I'm okay with that.
You're okay with
it? Are
it?
you okay? Yeah.
I'll go back to normal.
No, there's too much dead space there.
I don't want you to feel there is on the right side of the screen, right in the center.
Not quite yet, Josh. Close, but not quite yet. All right, we ready?
Yeah, always, Robert.
Safe, right?
Yes. Do you want me to kick it off?
Yes, please. Okay. I'm getting dark again. Oh my God, what is going on? I think the sun is coming in and out of my room. Hold on a second. I need to get a drink. I need to get a beverage. Hold on. Okay.
I'm so disoriented.
Why? Why?
The way your camera is, it has your bookshelf on the opposite side of how I think of it.
Oh, you want it on this side?
Well, that's how I having sat in there many times.
Oh, it's
yeah. It just feels out of place. I'm like, yeah.
Well, that's okay. You could use that as an excuse when I demolish you in this Metacast.
Okay.
Was that enough of a gauntlet being thrown down for you, or do I need to be, or do I need to be even clearer?
Yes, we did get Bob on Twitch, and shots have been fired. Yeah. You can't see the chat, can you?
Yes, I can.
Oh, you can.
Let's go.
Ooh.
I can.
Whoa! Don't start with the let's go business. Exactly. So for those of you that are here, the way this always works is Bob finally decides he's ready to talk and then says, all right, let's go. And then he takes a drink of whatever beverage he has. So I can't start because he's got beverage in his mouth. I don't want him to spray it all over his nice desk.
I'm ready whenever you are, Josh.
Oh, thank you. Don't play nice because there's people here, Bob.
I'm not going to. I'm going to demolish you.
Okay. All right.
It's
like a what?
I'm the lawnmower.
Is this like 1982?
It is 1982.
Gosh.
At least you recognize that reference.
Yeah.
It was like a toss up. Will he recognize it or not? That didn't stop
I'm
me.
old enough. I'm old enough.
All right, that's whenever you're ready, sir.
I am ready, Robert.
Safe. Is it safe to continue?
You can't say whenever you're ready, and I'll say I'm ready, and then you start talking. We've been over this. Okay. This is the definitive episode on Safe. Bob and I have hemmed and hawed, if that's an actual saying, about Safe. Is it good? Is it bad? Are parts of it good? No more. We are going to give you a clear answer on should you use Safe. So that's it. After this, you'll be able to walk out of here, walk into any room, and have a good discussion. I didn't say argument, a good discussion about why you should or shouldn't use Safe. So that's the objective for today. Robert, I know you're passionate about this, so I want to just step back, get out of the way, and let the big dog eat.
I can't. Oh my God. You just ruined me. I had a little bit of an attitude there, and you just said I lost it. No, I like the way you phrase it. It's a recommendation, right? So let's look at it as a recommendation. Someone walks up to you and they, they're looking for that. And they do that a lot. What I've done historically is I waffled. Like I talk about, I was in SPC once. And, I talked about my trail in training with Scaled Agile. You know what? You can use it as a set of patterns. And you can implement patterns, or you know what? At scale, it's. I even have this discussion with Mary Thorne quite a bit because she's using it in her job, and I respect her. But it's like, at large scale it works. I'm just going to definitively say, don't install Save ever. There is no context anymore. I'm not very proud of myself as a subject matter expert. Whatever, arguably, and as someone who's supposed to, as an influencer, I've been waffling, and I've probably done some harm, and there's probably some, pesky folks out there that, have spent oodles of money, because that's what it is. It's a freaking dollar sink, and they've done that. And so I'm coming out, don't do it. There's no conditions where I would recommend as a coach that you do Safe. Done. There's so many other richer alternatives. And it's a huge mistake. And I think people are still making that mistake. And there's so many consultants have come out that way. But then you have the Safe. People talk, Josh, we
come out that way, like saying Safe is the thing to do. Is that what you're saying?
No. A lot of them have starting to come out more aggressively, saying it's not the thing to do.
Okay.
But then there's this Safe industrial complex that always attacks them, right? And we have a case study, and with this, and coach, or they didn't spend enough money. I don't know if you ever saw their picture, Josh, on the Safe site. It's I did a blog post. I called it Chutes and Ladders. They have the Safe adoption picture diagram. It looks almost identical to Chutes and Ladders, and every 3 blocks it's like cha-ching. Take a class, get an exam, get a certification, cha-ching, and then cha-ching and cha-ching. And I've tolerated that, and I think it's crap. So I don't know if I'm a big dog, middle dog, little dog. I don't really care. I don't think Safe has redeemable anything. And I need to stop sort of waffling around that and talking about its redeemable qualities. Actually, things in Safe, like PI planning, Josh, you know what? They borrowed that, stole that from other people's ideas. That's not a unique. I mean, the labeling, of course, you have to label it so people think that you came up to it, so they pay you. But program increment planning is unique to them. But the whole notion of release planning predates Safe by at least a decade. I mean, it was an early XP practice. If you all want to check me on it, there was a planning XP projects book. There was an early extreme programming series and one of them was Martin Fowler, and I forget who else was the co-author, but Martin Fowler and someone else co-authored this book around 2001, 2, 3, and they talked about release planning in there, like multi-iteration planning, and doing it as teams, and doing it cross teams. And to me, that was release planning, and they co-opted that. So that's a good practice in and of itself. But then I give credit. Oh, you can use that. SAFe has a nice practice. No, SAFe is this toolkit of borrowed stuff. It's too pervasive. So throw it away, and now then look at what are patterns out there. Not safe patterns, but good scaling patterns.
So I'm willing to take it a step further and say that SAFe is inherently evil because
Amen, brother.
yeah,
Hey, no, go for it. I want to hear more, but yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, I like this.
Because it has tried to portray itself as the silver bullet that when you reach scale, this is the only way to answer the problem. And they were very smart, right? There's no doubt that the perpetrators of SAFe are very smart with marketing in that they have done a very effective job at marketing to executives of larger corporations. Like I remember on day one when I started at Dude Solutions, I had this 3x5 SAFe poster that my boss handed to me and said, "We are doing this."
Do you remember that thing?
Yeah.
It was, and everyone, that's not 3x5 inches, that's 3x5 feet. And it was, and Josh is carrying it around in this company. No, you were. I'm not exaggerating.
I know.
You were dragging the thing around under your arm in the hallway. Like, what are you doing, Josh? We're doing SAFe. What is that? Here, let me show you.
Let me take 75 years and explain everything on the diagram. And that was like version 2 or whatever that was. But that was a quick no for me as the person that was in charge of implementing the process there. It was a definitive no, we're not doing this.
Yep.
Now, many of you that have known me for years and heard me talk, I've shared many feelings about the PI planning and how I was forced to go to a SAFe planning session and I expected to get nothing out of it. I walked out of there with PI planning and I put that into place, but I made it my own. It wasn't the way that they described. We didn't do release trains. We didn't do all that stuff because it wasn't appropriate for us. But SAFe as a whole, the entire thing, I think has done more harm than good because it promises what shouldn't be promised, as it is the silver bullet that will solve all of your problems, especially those of you that are larger corporations that have deep pockets for training and everything that goes along with that, because there is so much training that is required. And yes, it has evolved and there's certain versions where they make upgrades and they clarify things, which is a great thing to do. But then with that comes more training. So from my perspective, as I was thinking about this of good versus bad, bad's a strong word. Maybe bad isn't a strong word, but the good it's provided to the community and teams doing work versus the harm that it's done. I think the harm heavily outweighs any benefit that was created from it.
Well, it's evil. I mean, it's not even a balancing act. I agree. There's a comment in the chat that says, I'm going to just read it. SAFe is a tool in the toolbox. I believe it's a money laundering scheme, but some of the ideas have applicability to some situations. The only thing I would disagree to that in is take SAFe out. SAFe is not anything unique. It's prepackaged stuff. So don't borrow anything from SAFe. Retire it. Shoot it, bury it. Now, then go to the community and build your own scaling framework based on patterns that you see. There is nothing in SAFe, but don't give it credit, is what I'm trying to say. I hear that a lot. SAFe is a toolbox. Oh, it's not SAFe's problem. It's almost like guns. It's not guns, what, guns don't kill people, people kill people. SAFe doesn't kill people, people kill people. Don't purchase it. right? It's this inclusive thing. Skip it. You want release planning? There, I've written about it. Josh, you've used it. The people have talked about it. Books have referenced it. Safe is an aggregation. I don't think there's very much new thinking in Safe at all. It's just like sort of conglomeration. Now they package it together. They have a wonderful website. They have a 3x5 picture that you can carry around in the hallways and point to. But no, don't give them, because it's insidious, because then other people might interpret it, not understand, and they may take Safe as a full feature. So go get patterns, build it yourself.
There's a friendly face in the chat saying that no one gets fired for installing Safe. My argument is no one gets fired immediately for installing Safe. I think you've set a ticking time bomb off, and that it will create a fair amount of strife and strain within your organization, that it will not succeed without pain and suffering. So yeah, that's it.
They leave before the bomb goes off. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I want to stop waffling, because I'm doubling down on what Josh said. Safe is evil. Safe does do harm. It does harm to people. So, sort of, what is it? RTEs. There's a lot of folks that are malicious RTEs, that they're driving teams, that they're driving outcomes. It's not a good role. I was arguing with someone the other day, and Safe keeps growing. It's like a disease or something. They keep adding certifications. They added a Safe Certified Scrum Master, and then a Safe Advanced Certified Scrum Master, or whatever the language is. And I was arguing with someone, why the hell would Safe? I mean, there's already Scrum Master certifications. And I was talking to someone who actually teaches it and understands the material. And I'm like, well, what's different in the Safe? And it's like, based on the Scrum Guide or the other certifications. And she said, there's not much. There's a little bit of anecdotal. Well, like, why do you have to create? Why do you have to have it redundant? Why don't you take a walk on the wild side and recommend go to scrum.org and go take that rigorous certification? We don't have to we don't have to recreate the wheel. But no, the money hungry folks who want to keep it's this additive thing. And it's just revenue. To me, it's snake oil revenue. It's agile industrial complex, and it's doing way more harm than it's doing good.
Okay, so let's put ourselves in the situation very similar to what I was, where you walk in. It was a perfect scenario for this challenge, and maybe there aren't many people that walk in a situation like this, but I was hired into a role to come in and lead the agile process for engineering and the company. And on day one, I was informed that it had been predetermined that we were doing Safe. So I immediately started to chart a path of how do I get this brushed to the side so we can move forward. And I was lucky enough to have been provided the lateral mobility. No, that's the wrong word, but the capability to chart my own course. And it was made very clear to me, like, hey, if you want to go this direction, that's fine, but it's on you. And if this stumbles and falls, that's your fault, right? We have said Safe is the way to go. So I want to talk about it and give people tools, ideas, courage in which they can, inside of their company, start turning the big battleship of Safe and get it out of port and get it out to sea where it's not going to be a problem. Thoughts on that?
So how to get rid of it? How
to remove it? Long haul, yeah. How to start that?
So I think minimization. I think Safe has its own. What is it? It's essential Safe. So only do essential Safe, which last time I looked had like 10 practices. Mm-hmm. So if thou must have Safe, then I don't even care how big you are. Then throw everything out, but essential Safe, right? and then just stick with that. I still want to. I still think it's evil, but that might be so. That to me would be step one, right? Step two would be someone in the chat talked about mindset. To me, safe is like mind numbing. What is it? Fear. I was looking at Dune. I was reviewing the movie Dune, and like fear is the mind killer, right? Is a quote from Dune. I would actually say safe is the mind killer, right? It's the agile mind killer. It's do safe. It's a checklist oriented thing. We bought safe, so we're going to do that. So then I would start bringing in agile mindset, true lean thinking at a team level. So like flipping it around. I remember years ago when I probably even before you were dragging that card around, Josh, I remember talking to someone in very early days of Save, and it had like this hierarchical picture, and leaders were at the top, or programs were at the top, and teams were at the bottom. And I fundamentally said, well, one of my problems with Safe is why have teams at the bottom. I said I would feel so much better if you could flip the damn picture up so the teams were driving. So it was all about the team. It was all about value and team and agile mindset, and everyone else was serving the team. If that made sense, just even that change. So that would be part of, sort of changing Safe. And then I'd say descaling. There's some agile coaches that talk about descaling. Like you go into a Safe instance, and your goal is not to grow it, is not to train it, it's to get rid of it. Maybe not as a whole, but start carving it off and having that mindset, and really challenging why are we doing these things. Like the PI planning. Do you know that people, just because I think on the Safe website last time I looked, PI planning was a 5-day event, Josh? Okay, it was a 5-day event. There's an agenda there. There was an agenda there. And that, I don't even think that's inclusive of the prep time and the preparation. So if that's 5 days well spent to coordinate a large, to do release level planning, then fine. I've done similar things in my context in a day and a half. Do you know people are blindly following the 5 days and they're just doing it?
Yep.
So stop that. Stop that. And I'm sure they don't. I'm sure no one on the Safe side is saying don't do that, but people are not feeling empowered, right? Well, the website, they're not thinking about leaning and value and activating their own mindset. So descale.
Yeah, that's the approach that I would take, is you start to actually operate with the agile mindset and bring in lean thinking and just identifying waste and removing it. And you'll initially have some pushback because it's like, oh, that's not what the website says, or that's not what the trainer said. But then you just dig in and start asking questions like, okay, cool. What value are we getting from this? The other question that I've found that's effective is people often, when they're in an environment like this, lose sight of what value they're trying to deliver, why they're there. And a tool that I use is I start asking people like, why are we here? What's our job? What is the expected outcome of all of this work? And often it ties back to outputs. Well, we have this plan, we have these features, we have this thing. Like, no, let's stop and remind ourselves that we are here. We exist to deliver value to our customers, internal, external, whatever. That's why we exist. All of this stuff, we have to take an honest and hard look and say, does it help us achieve that outcome as effectively and quickly as we would like, of delivering something of value to our customers? If not, then why are we doing that? And you'll initially get pushback because, again, they've been ingrained, they've been doing it for years or whatever, but you have to kickstart that mindset through challenging and asking difficult questions. And what you can't do is you can't just come in guns blazing like we did and say, this is evil, this is terrible, this is a industrial thing. Like, that's not going to get you anywhere, right? You have to start changing hearts and minds and reopening eyes, because that's what happened. Is so many people in this environment turn into like Safe zombies of, this is what Safe says to do, so this is what we're doing, and brains are turned off. And the way I like to look at it is, hey, we hired your brain because it's really good. And what SAFe does is it often takes people's brains out of their head and just puts it on the shelf and says, don't worry, we got this. You just become this zombie doing the thing that we're telling you to, and everything will be fine. For some people, that's comforting. For me, that's terrifying. But you kind of have to like shake people and wake them back up and like, hey, wait a minute, like let's remember why we're here and who we are. And we're a group of really smart people that can navigate ourselves out of this. We don't have to, yes, it's nice to have a roadmap, but we don't need step by step.
I mean, I remember, so I challenge, I'm agreeing with you, Josh. So everyone, what do you think people did before there was SAFe? Like SAFe wasn't part of Genesis biblically or whatever book you want to read. You know, on the first day there was light and then there was SAFe or something, right? That's not. So it was created. Well, there were years of agile execution pre-SAFe. What the hell do you think we did? If there was a scaling, we scaled. Well, what did we use? I remember working with a client. I've told this story in the Metacast before, Josh, but it's relevant. I remember working with a client that had like 120 Scrum teams. It was a Scrum instance. 120 Scrum teams, about 40 teams per product line, 3 major product lines, a lot of people spread all over the place, right? So scaling, and they were happy. They were pretty happy. They used Scrum and they scaled it up a little bit. They extended Scrum just a tad, and then they leveraged Scrum of Scrums. And then they, sort of had epics, and they did do some portfolio stuff. Not a lot of hand waving. They didn't sell it. It didn't have the 28,000 certifications or whatever, and it worked. But guess who had to build? They had to do the heavy lifting. They made it work. So I think there's a laziness or just let me buy it sort of factor here as well. But it's part of it's the check-in, but part of it's laziness. Do a little heavy lifting. And I mean, and they started the groundswell up. They used Scrum. That's all we had. And XP practices and Scrum. And they rounded it up a little bit, and they created this minimalist wrapper, if you will. They didn't sell it. They didn't talk. I'm getting excited here. They didn't talk about it, right? Outside, they just did it, and they delivered great results. So that's possible. That's where I'd like to see scaling go. And there are some frameworks. We don't talk about them enough, but there's some simplistic or minimalist frameworks that are out there that we could choose. Nexus is one. Scrum at Scale is another. Right there, I think there's some less is another. There's some more minimalist frameworks that we don't have to just go all in on the dinosaur or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So
okay. Can I just add? I think there was something that that someone said that I wanted to pull out. Just hold on. I just think this is funny. We need to put a link to this in the post or something. So even where someone said Disciplined Agile ripped off SAFe, how meta is that? I don't know if anyone's ever seen those fishes. Like there's XP or there's XP and then something else eats it and then something else eats it. Well, I saw a cartoon where SAFe was the big whale that was eating all of the other things. But then just a year ago, and it may not be there now, but on the Disciplined Agile website, Disciplined Agile ate SAFe in its picture. And it just made me smile. I was like, cool, it was well deserved. So I think so. Where that's going in, so SAFe is, if we don't stop SAFe, we're going to get something bigger and something bigger. There's going to be these bigger fish.
Does that mean? I'm sure there's some mathematical equivalent of, therefore, Disciplined Agile is safe, or therefore, Disciplined Agile is evil. Because it's eating SAFe, it's going to inherit that evilness, or it already is evil and is decided.
Or it's going to have gastrointestinal difficulties or something. I don't know, but yes, yeah. So I would agree with that. But be careful. All I'm saying is it was well deserved, right? The biggest scaling framework in the planet needs to watch its back because something else may eat it. Not the right lean direction. I'm not recommending that. What were you going to say, Josh? I cut you off.
I don't remember. It happens all the time, Bob.
I hate when I do that.
No, you don't. It helps your word count stay high. Okay, so where to go from here? If you're in the unfortunate situation where SAFE is already in place, or you're walking in and you've been told SAFE is the answer, number one, get a little nervous, actually get a lot nervous, because that company has decided to turn their brains off and just blindly use this tool. So you have an uphill battle just in how that company operates, the fact that the company's gotten there. So now,
So why don't we boldly say they should? We're waffling again potentially, and
Okay.
I don't know, but it's like, if you encounter SAFE, get the heck out of there, right? I mean, again, pad your bank account, be careful, right? Have a next step, but and if you're in a SAFE shop and you want to be agile, and you want to work you want to experience agile ways of working, and you want to have kick-ass product development, and you want to have empowerment or some of those promises, and you want to be part of it, you want to have it yourself and give it and be part of that, then what I'm saying is SAFE isn't that. So appreciate. I mean, you can be in denial for 5 years and play around with it. That's fine. Stay there and be safe. But I would say this is the Bob and Josh show, the Metacast, saying if you aspire to do great agile stuff, I would say get out of there as soon as you possibly can. Run for the exits.
Right. So if you're in a SAFE world, there's two options. One, GTFO, or two, you're a crazy person like me and you decide you're going to try and turn the tide and change everything.
And go for that. Go for that. And send a check to Dean Leffingwell once a month, just with a little smiley face on it or something like that, right? So and he doesn't own it. So SAFE was sold. I forget who bought it, but Scaled Agile was sold to a consulting firm or something like that. So
that makes sense.
I think Dean is probably on a beach somewhere, like enjoying himself. I will say, I will pick on Dean a little bit. I mean, he had worked at IBM for a while. He has a history of working on frameworks like SAFE. And what was it? IBM's, I forget their process. Now I'm blanking on the process, but they had, oh my gosh, I can't. Rational Unified Process, RUP. So Dean was a part of the RUP team. So let's be fair and unfair, right? There are marked similarities between the intents of RUP and the intents of SAFE. I remember I was a developer working under RUP. I remember we installed RUP. It had like 10,000 pages of guidance. I'm not exaggerating here. It ripped my soul out. I came in, and if you wanted to know how to check in code or what a good defect looked like, guess what you did? You didn't figure it out on your own. You went to page 9,872 in the RUP server, and you followed the checklist, and you created it just like they told you to create it. There was no responsibility. There was no innovation. There was no emergence. It was just terrible. I mean, it worked. I didn't know anything better. So I infinitely went to RUP and did exactly what RUP told me to do. And I think that's that same pattern, right? In SAFE, you can see it.
Well, that's the goal, right? Because then your brain gets turned off, and the only solution to a problem is to go back to that well and say, "Sir, may I have another?"
Correct.
and then
Correct.
Get more and more of that very declarative, definitive, thou shalt do X, Y, and Z and nothing else. So that's it feeds the monster.
Exactly. And everyone's, it's not RUP, and it has no. Go look at one and look at two, and it's almost the same. RUP wasn't that success. It had like a 10-year run, as I recall, 10 to 12 years, something like that. But it eventually pooped out. And then there was an Agile Up, right? So they tried an A Up, right? That was created in the open source, and that didn't do very well as well. That was actually one of the very early Agile methods outside of Scrum and XP. There was a smattering of methods that are interesting around the time XP and Scrum were emerging, and this was pre-Kanban. But again, it was that monolithic thing.
Yeah. One
So
of the
did we
things that
cover? Did we cover? Do you? I not just cover it, but were we definitive enough and clear
yeah,
enough? What do you think?
yeah, we're gonna make sure there's clarity there. One of the things that you've said to me numerous times is just go back to Scrum and XP, and that really is the foundation for so much of what actually
Yeah,
works. And XP is one of the like forgotten things that has many of the principles of small a agile in this is how it's done well. So I think you can find the substance that's necessary in those two frameworks, oddly enough, not commercialized, just out there. And it does most of the work. And then as you dig into some of these other frameworks, you start to realize, oh, wait, that's just that from Scrum
yep.
or FP with a different name, but a slight twist. So that's all there. Everything that you need is there. You don't need this monster. So to close it out, the definitive answer from the Metacast, Bob Galen and Josh Anderson, is don't do safe. And if you are a engineer or something inside of a safe organization and you aspire to work in an agile manner, that's never going to happen in your safe company. So if you aspire to operate like that, you need to get out. Otherwise, you're
So
just like hoping and wishing.
so if you're in a so if you have a chance to go to a safe environment, avoid it. If you're already in a safe environment, we're saying look to leave, or just realize that you're making compromises that are going to affect your viability, that are going to affect you probably, your morale, etc., your empowerment. But that's okay. And I'm being serious. That's a personal decision on your part. But realize what you're trading off, and then do that. Or if you're in a safe environment, try to descale it. That's another variant there. But don't do nothing.
Yep.
And the other thing I want to wrap it this way, and don't think that you're agile, right? I hear people now that we're actually losing agility or Scrum. People are like, what are you doing? I'm doing safe. My heart literally breaks. My soul almost escapes my body. What? Because now the equivalency is agile. The agile, all of the agile mindset, the simplicity of it, the manifesto is all wrapped up in scaled agile. And that's the placeholder. And no, that's not it.
Yeah, for those that are crazy like me and are willing to dig into the descaling effort, what you have to recognize is one, it's going to take a ton of effort and energy because you have to awaken people's brains again because they've been turned off and it's easy to stay asleep, just like it's easy to hit the snooze button. You have to do all of the heavy lifting and dirty work to get people to wake up, open their eyes, get back out, and get going in an agile manner. That's a ton of work. Having done it a couple of times, there are times I look back and like, was that the best way to spend my year and a half or whatever it is?
Yes.
There are times where like, yes, it gave me so much in return that's helped me as I move forward, but it was a freaking slugfest. So
But that's not. But
yeah.
but I want to add a quote that's in the chat, Josh, as a way to connect to what you just said, but to land the episode. But it's worthwhile. And this is from Ryan. Said the biggest problem with Scrum and XP is that you have to engage your brain and do some deep work to deliver and improve. Amen. So if you want an easy road, if you want to be spoon-fed stuff, that's fine. Go down the safe road. But that's not, who wants to do that? Come on, let's be honest. No one wants to do that. That's not viable. That's not the path that we want. If we really want to do great work, it's we have to do deep work. It's hard. It's worthwhile work. That's the point. So continuous improvement. Where does it say that's a piece of cake? Right? Reflection. Right? Continuous evolution. That's the hallmark of what we have to, and that's where survival is, not in following some blind template or blind, sort of scaling framework. So I want to appreciate what Ryan was saying. He nailed it.
The word you use that landed most effectively with me is survival. What are you doing to your career if you choose to live in an environment where the desire is to disengage the brain and just follow this path blindly, how is that going to set you up for future success? Maybe you forget, like, hey, I want to be a leader, I want to be whatever it is, but I just want to be better at my craft. You've already chosen to not get better at the operational aspects of your craft. So how can you expect that the rest of everything that you do is going to get better? So you're choosing not to grow if you go down the safe path. And that feels very dangerous to put into your career. So I certainly would advise against it. I certainly would run for the hills and try and save as many people as I could as I was running for the hills. But it puts your career trajectory in like flat, like you're just flatlining at that point, and that's a scary place to be.
Hey, Josh, I think we can stick a fork in it. I mean, we wanted to come out without one of our resolutions for Metacast 2.0 was to, be more us and really say what we mean. We're not looking for everyone to agree. Some people in chat are going to disagree. You're going to say, "Hey, we can do it within safe." That's fine, right? I honor that opinion, Josh. Right, but I want us as Metacasters that we have our experience. That's not sit on the line. So I think we did a good job today. I appreciate it.
Yep, I feel pretty good.
All right. So can we close?
Yeah.
All right. So from beautiful downtown Cary, North Carolina.
And from even more beautiful downtown Fuquay Arena, North Carolina.
I'm Bob Galen.
And I'm Josh Anderson.
Shake.
And bake.
Take care, y'all.
And thank you to everybody in the chat.
Chat was cool today. Thanks for hanging.
To have you there. Next episode, we will flip to this and get the chats showing up here on the right side. So
what we should do? I'm working on guests, a guest list, Josh. We need to have Ryan on. You know that, don't you think?
Yeah,
it's
always good.
I think we need to get Ryan in here and have some of these discussions like face to face instead of let him come out of the chat. Let him come out of the chat. He would add flavor to the conversation.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes, shake and bake. Look at that. It's a beautiful thing. All right. Well, Robert, I'll get this all packaged up and out Monday morning. I added a potential topic that popped into my head on the quiet quitting trend that we were working on in Tool. So
okay,
just
I'll take a look at it.
Yeah,
very cool. Thanks again, Josh. Thanks everyone. This was really, I just like the interface here and seeing people. I may be getting taught new technology here a little bit. You know that?
Look at that.
You can teach a really old dog on its last leg a few new tricks.
Done. Once you start logging into Discord on a regular basis, then
I know. I'm like, I don't know. I feel strange. I may take good care. Have a nice weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.